A lead does not become a booked call because it entered a form, replied to a message, or landed in a spreadsheet. The funnel usually breaks in the handoffs. A contact arrives, but nobody applies the same qualification rule. The lead reaches a CRM, but there is no next action. One follow-up is sent, then forgotten. Or a booking link appears before the prospect has enough context to use it. In this video, I will show you 5 stages: lead source, qualification, CRM, follow-up, and booking. No complicated stack and no promise that automation creates demand. The goal is to make every handoff visible, owned, and repeatable. Before choosing software, define the funnel in operational terms. A lead has entered through a known source. A qualified lead matches your minimum conditions for a useful sales conversation. The CRM is the source of truth for status and ownership. Follow-up is a planned sequence of relevant touches. A booked call is a confirmed meeting with enough context to prepare. This prevents one contact from existing as fragments across an inbox, form, spreadsheet, and calendar. At every stage, answer 4 questions: where did the lead come from, does it fit, who owns the next action, and when will that action happen? Stage 1 is lead capture. You do not need every possible channel. You need each active source to create the same minimum record: person, company, source, reason for relevance, and entry date. For an inbound lead, context may come from a form or email. For a referral, record who introduced the lead and why. For outbound prospecting, record the segment or trigger that made the contact relevant. The goal is not a biography. It is enough context for an informed next step. If a source cannot reliably create that record, fix capture before adding another channel. Stage 2 is qualification. This is not about predicting who will buy. It is a consistent rule for deciding whether a conversation is worth both sides' time. Choose a few observable conditions. Does the prospect have a problem your service addresses? Are they within the type of client you can serve? Is there a relevant timing signal? Can the conversation include, or reach, someone involved in the decision? Your outcome can be qualified, nurture, or not a fit. Apply the same rule regardless of the inbox. Do not send every contact directly to a calendar. A booking page is not a qualification system, and irrelevant calls do not improve the funnel. Stage 3 is the CRM control point. It can be dedicated software or a carefully maintained database. The operating rule matters more than the category. Every active lead has one status, one owner, and one dated next action. Keep the pipeline narrow: new lead, qualification needed, qualified, follow-up active, call booked, then closed or nurture. Avoid stages like warm or interested if they do not define what happens next. A useful CRM view answers what needs attention today. If it only stores contact details, it is an address book. If it shows next actions and overdue handoffs, it controls the funnel. Stage 4 is follow-up. A sequence is not the same message repeated until someone replies. Each touch needs a job. The first can restore context, why you reached out and why it may be relevant. The next can ask one useful question that helps determine fit. Another can clarify the problem or purpose of a discovery call. The final touch can close the loop and move the lead to nurture instead of leaving an invisible task. Set the next follow-up date when you complete the current action. Templates can provide structure, but context must match the lead. If you cannot explain why this person is receiving the message, automation is ahead of strategy. Stage 5 is booking the call. The calendar link should arrive after the prospect understands why the conversation may be useful. Give the call a clear outcome, confirm the problem, test mutual fit, and decide whether a scoped next step makes sense. Ask only for information required to prepare. Confirm the meeting, include the agenda, and preserve the lead context in the CRM. A booked call without context creates a poor handoff. A call with an agreed purpose gives both sides a fair way to decide what happens next. If the prospect does not book, return the record to a defined follow-up or nurture state. The workflow must not end at a clicked calendar link. Add 3 control rules to keep the funnel from leaking. First, no active lead without a recorded source. You need to know which channels create relevant conversations, without pretending a small sample proves more than it does. Second, no active lead without a dated next action. A status alone does not move work forward. Third, review stale records on a fixed schedule. Decide whether each one needs follow-up, nurture, or closure. Do not let old opportunities inflate the pipeline and hide what is active. These rules are deliberately boring. They replace memory with visible decisions. Once the sequence works manually, automate the stable handoffs. A form submission can create a lead record. A qualification decision can change the stage and create a task. A completed follow-up can schedule the next review. A booked meeting can update status and trigger confirmation. But automation should never invent qualification, context, or ownership. Lead databases and outreach platforms can support source discovery and follow-up as tool categories. They do not replace a defined audience, a relevant reason to contact someone, or a human decision about fit. Run the manual map, find where records go stale, then automate only transitions you can describe without ambiguity. A consulting sales funnel is not a collection of forms, databases, sequences, and calendar links. It is a controlled path from first context to a prepared conversation. Capture the source and reason. Apply a small qualification rule. Keep one CRM record with an owner and a dated next action. Follow up with a purpose. Then offer a call with a clear outcome and preserve the context. Draw those 5 boxes and put your current tools underneath them. Find the first place where a lead can exist without an owner or next action. That is the handoff to fix first. If one stage keeps breaking, name it in the comments: source, qualification, CRM, follow-up, or booking.